after the success of the French version of this webinar, many people wanted to have the English one. So here we are, updated with exclusive informations and also with the participation of 5 panelists. So there is Afsat from Women in Africa, but she's not here yet. We're going to present her just after. Also Martha Karua from Kenya. Hello, Martha.
Hi there.
Thank you. Lala Kinderjou from Nigeria. Hello, Lala.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you very much. Also, Julia Rodriguez from Smart Data Power. And myself, Margot Birken from Smart Data Power too. So, before presenting the panelists more precisely, we're going to explain you why we conducted such a study. So, first of all, why we used Twitter. Well, because Twitter is at the same time a social media more than a social network actually, which gives access to its data perfectly, legally, and GDPR compliant. GDPR, it's a legislation, a European legislation regarding the protection of personal data online. So it's really important to notice that we are doing this perfectly legally. Also, Twitter is also a platform on which women can express themselves freely, and also a platform on which can be found both big company CEOs, startups founders, also journalists, activists, etc. So this is really a place where everyone can talk and can express himself freely. And this top 200 was based on African women currently living on the continent according to their biography. It means that there can be people who are actually living in Africa and who are really influenced on Twitter, but who didn't indicate their location on their profile on Twitter. So for instance, there is a woman in Kenya who has more than 1 million followers, but we haven't been able to select her because she wrote worldwide and not Kenya on our location. So we've only chosen people officially declared as living in Africa. And also this study doesn't have a scientific or scientific goal or purpose, yet it shows an instantaneous capture of a thriving continent. And nowadays, more and more women are its ambassadors. So also why we choose African women to conduct this study, because women's participation rate to the labor market in Africa is 55%, which is, you can see it on this slide, clearly above the world average of 48%. So in other words, it means African women have and will have a central position in the development of their country. So this is really important. Then we're going to pass to the presentation of the study's partners and panelists. So we have women in Africa. Okay, so maybe Eloise, can you present what is Women in Africa and also present yourself?
Yes, of course. So Women in Africa is the foremost international platform dedicated to the economic development and support of African women entrepreneurs. WIA believes that African women as agents of action, change and impact on the economies are a true chance for the continent. Indeed, we have discovered that women are the backbone of the African economy. The African continent has the highest percentage of women entrepreneurs in the world. According to the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor from 2016 and 2017, the female entrepreneurship rate in sub-Saharan Africa is almost 26% of the female adult population, meaning that 1 in 4 women start or manages a business. Furthermore, women typically reinvest up to 90% of their income in the education, health, and nutrition of their family and community, compared to only 40% of men. This means that investing in women's businesses can transform societies. Finally, gender inequality costs Africa $95 billion a year, which is 6% of the continent's GDP. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eloise. And then we have also 2 panelists from Africa. So Martha Karua, can you present yourself?
Okay. As you've been told, my name is Martha Karua. I'm politician, lawyer by training. So I practice both law and politics. Been in parliament for over 20 years previously. Been Minister of Water, Minister of Justice. Been a presidential candidate. I lead a political party, and I do intend to finish the unfinished business in the presidential race in future. I joined Twitter in March 2020. I consider it my personal space, a space for meeting people, sharing ideas, fun moments, serious moments, learning about other people and what is happening across the globe. I don't know whether that now is enough for this stage.
Yeah, it's perfect. Thank you very much. So also from Nigeria, we have Lala Kinderjou. Can you present yourself?
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Lala Kinderjou, as you've been told. I am an actor and a producer. I work as a performing artist. I tell stories and I act. I'm also into advocacy. I work with different organizations to speak up against issues. So I work with the Enough is Enough coalition, and I use my art as a tool to advocate for women and talk about women issues. I have been working professionally in this space for over 15 years. And I am on social media a lot. Social media is a tool for my work. And I joined Twitter in March 2011. So I've been there for a while. And that's all I'll say for now.
Okay, thank you very much, Lala. And then the third partner of the study is Smart Data Power, so represented by myself, Margot Birken. I am Africa Manager, and also by Julia Rodriguez, my colleague, who is going to present you the company. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Margot. So hello, everyone. I'm Julia Rodriguez. So as Margot said, I'm working at Smart Data Power as a data analyst. I am basically in charge of extracting the data through the different tools we've developed in our team, but I will come back to that a little bit later, and then make sense to it and enrich that data in order for it to be useful for our clients. So Smart Data Power is an agency specializing in the processing and analysis of data on Twitter, and more generally, the analysis of any trends on that social network. We are able to tell who says what on what medium and from where those tweeters are from. We also specialize in connecting our clients with the targets we map for them. So it could be either medias, institutions, NGOs, private companies, and so on. We also cross that data we extract with LinkedIn and the open data. And I will come back to that again a little later in the third part of this webinar by explaining to you the tools we use to extract the data and crossing it with the open data and with LinkedIn. We will then also talk about the different strategies to improve and optimize your Twitter account in order to increase your influence on that network. The Smart Data Power method for this type of study is first of all the purchase and use of 100% legal data, as Margot explained earlier. We follow the GDPR rules regarding the use of personal data, so it's all very legal and yeah, no problem about that. So therefore we have a big data approach. So we will connect directly to the API, which is in a few words, the data box on Twitter. We have a monthly subscription, so we are allowed to download a certain amount of data. And then after buying the publication data, which are the tweets and retweets in the whole world since 2006, the creation date of that network. And then we do a work of aggregating biographies to then make analysis and cross-referencing with other networks. So why do we do that? Because it is important to cross-reference this information, so the tweets, with the authors of this information in order to have their profiles, their age, their gender, etc. So when we start with big data, we try to enrich it with open data, which is free data that we find in all countries. Governments and NGOs are doing a lot of work to free the data. We recently did a great deal of mapping work on first names, especially African names, because we have other projects going on in the African continent. And thanks to that and the birth tables that we also downloaded thanks to the open data, we can know if that profile is a man, a woman, when we cross them with the nickname they put on Twitter. It also allows us to know the age group, which is very important to better understand the authors of such publications. We are also working on health and environmental data because that also gives us a lot of information. This really allows us to give meaning to the data, and that's what we are searching for at Smart Data Power. So then when we finish all that first stage, we then can start the process of refining the data, qualify it. That's why we call it the Smart Data approach. We are able to do that thanks to our algorithms that have been developed and put in place by our data science team. After buying a good amount of data on a specific subject and then having refined it with our tools and algorithms, we can start the human process. At Smart Data Power, we really believe in the usefulness of humans, the power of non-artificial intelligence, as we like to call it, that allows us to verify the data in a more efficient way. When we do this kind of study, we will check with our teams if the targeting, the filtering is correct, if there is any noise in the tweets, any fake accounts, any fake news. And once we have started and launched our algorithms, we will sort the data manually, and then we will take some perspective with our consultants, because nothing is better than humans to interpret data. That's our experience. So our intervention of today aims to identify the 200 most influential African women among the million active tweeters in Africa. So how did we set up our criteria? First, we picked women who are regular users of Twitter. So we analyzed the density of their speaking. And then we also selected them according to their level of influence, depending on their community. As Margot said, they needed to have more than 10,000 followers. We could have done different types of ranking on Twitter, but today we wanted to focus on the political side. So politicians, businesswomen, journalists, opinion leaders, or influential figures from civil society. You will find this classification in part 1. In part 2, we will focus on 4 profiles, which are quite representative. And then with the other panelists, we will give you some advice, some tips to gain influence on Twitter. But for now, I'm going to hand it over to Margot, and she will go through what we found.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Julia. So before moving on to the first part of this presentation, I just want to complete the methodology. So this study has been realized thanks to our follower database in Africa, which represents, as Julia just said, several million profiles. So among them, you can see on this slide which African countries are the most represented in our database. So you can see the 3 first countries most represented are South Africa, Nigeria, and Egypt. And thanks to it, we have been able to select female profiles among them, and then the top 200 most influential African women in Africa. In Africa, of course. So part 1, the top 200 macro data. So what are the macro data of this study? First of all, what is important to notice is that these women have a very important impact on Twitter and a very important audience. Indeed, each of them has an average of almost 200,000 followers, which represents a potential total reach of almost 40 million people. So it's really huge. And it means also that these women really have an impact in their speaking because they are listened. Also, what is interesting to see is that they have been present on Twitter for almost a decade. You can see here the number with the red line over there. 137 women of the top 200 have created their profiles between 2009 and 2011. It means that 69% of the top 200 most influential African women have an account for more than a decade, and it means also that they have patiently acquired their followers through the years. So maybe Martha or Lala, do you have something to say on this? Maybe you say, Lala, you created your account in 2011?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, it's like you needed to acquire new followers patiently through the years, and it was maybe a long process.
I mean, the process of getting followers or growing the account was, for me, it was very organic. So it wasn't like there was an intention to grow followers. But what I have learned and what I've observed is you get more followers as you engage. So the more you engage, the more followers you get. The more conversations you have, the more followers you get. Also, Twitter is a place for expression. People express themselves on Twitter in a way that they don't express themselves on Instagram, for example. Mm-hmm. People share their opinions on Twitter. People fight on Twitter. People bring up controversial topics on Twitter. You know, there are hashtags on Twitter. There are campaigns on Twitter. There are protests on Twitter. There are all kinds of things on Twitter. Now, for somebody like me who crosses from entertainment to advocacy to feminism, these are also issues that are popular on Twitter. So I find that the more I engage, the more my followers grow, and the more I push my work. So I find, and I prefer, Twitter is my favorite social media platform. I really love Twitter. I love the conversations. I like to say that Twitter streets are not for children. You know, the streets of Twitter are deadly. So if you're not ready, Twitter is going to take you down. So you have to come correct, as we say in Nigeria. And so for me and growing my followers, I found that the more I engage, the more followers I get. Like in the last 2 years, I think my followers have increased more, but that's because I've been more vocal about issues with governance, issues with bad leadership, issues with feminism, issues with gender-based violence and abuse. You know, these are things that I find myself talking about. So the more you engage, the more your followers will grow. For me, I have grown my followers organically. And I find that I really love Twitter. So I guess the numbers keep growing from there.
Okay, thank you very much. It's really relevant. Maybe Martha, you want to add something?
Maybe just to reinforce what has been said and to say that I try to be authentic. So I communicate what is in my mind. It will be issues of social justice, issues of human rights. It will be issues of governance, as has been said, topical issues that are of interest to the people. I may even join in a fun moment. And the good thing with Twitter is that you're not talking just about your immediate environment, your country. You are having a conversation with the world. Mm-hmm. I found myself getting very involved in the campaigns in America, campaigns in the US, UK when they were going on. You find that you're getting involved in the Me Too movement when it was both in France and in the US. You find the Black Lives Matter becomes your matter. We even joined, there's been a hashtag, Kenyans on Twitter, going under the acronym KOT versus Nigeria. It's like a football match. Mm-hmm. But also there are distressing moments on Twitter. Mm-hmm. People who come there with the sole intention of bullying. And since I consider Twitter my personal space, I have dealt with bullies the same way I would deal with a bully face to face. What would I do if a person who is conversing with me becomes increasingly insultive, and even when I ask them to become civil, they don't? I have no hesitation at that moment. I press the B button because it's available to me to stop that kind of thing. It will be rare, but when it is necessary, I do not hesitate. I will not give a bully my space to bully me or bully others, because sometimes it will not be about me. It will be insulting other women or using unacceptable language repeatedly on others. I will exclude you from my company. Anyway, I would exclude somebody in a face-to-face conversation. So Twitter is, for me, is a personal space, and I manage it the way I would manage myself. I'm a politician, but even a politician has to know how to manage their personal space. And there will be things I will not engage much in. If I have responded to you, and you are insisting on carrying on the conversation in a way that I think will not end up with civility, I'll move on to another topic. Thank you.
Thank you, it's really inspiring, thank you. So also just wanted to add that knowing that Twitter was launched in the US in 2006, we can say that this woman, African woman, can really be considered as digital pioneers in Africa, because finally 2009, it's really, really early to be on Twitter. So thanks to her and congratulations to them. Then first, we've tried also to work on the nationalities according to the macro data of our studies. So we intended to see if there were countries more represented than others among our top 200. And in total, we encountered 24 countries represented. So you can see the colored countries on the map over there. And there is a color coding, which indicates that the most represented countries are in blue, just there, then in red, then in green, etc. And we can notice that there are 4 overrepresented countries. So indeed, both South Africa, Nigeria, and Egypt have more than 20 representatives each in our top 200. So it means 142 women of our list are from one of these 4 countries. Martha or Lala, if you want to add something, just you can speak whenever you want. If you want to add any comments on this map, maybe, or no?
Just to say that the women on Twitter come from diverse backgrounds. There'll be people in the media, there'll be business people, there'll be activists. So they represent the entire spectrum of the society.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you. Okay, and then we've tried to go a little bit further by crossing this map with other indicators relevant for our study. So on this other slide, we intended to do a backup with other indicators. So first, we, for instance, on the left map here, we took the GNP, the gross national product, per inhabitants. And we can see that South Africa, Nigeria, and Egypt are among the richest countries of the continent, with Algeria just there. But moreover, Kenya, if it does not appear as one of the richest countries, it stays quite an important wealth producer, because you can see it's in green. Also, we try to cross this map with population data. So the upper right map just right there. And once again, you can see that 3 of our 4 overrepresented countries are among the most crowded of Africa. So with this top 200 reminder just right there, we can say that 54% of women from our top 200 are located in the most richest and crowded countries of the continent. Do you want to add something, maybe Lala or Martha? Okay. Also, just to know that the 4 overrepresented countries we are talking about, they are also coastal countries. And indeed, Africa is connected to internet through submarine cables passing along the coasts. So usually inland countries, coastal countries have a better connection to the internet than inland countries. So it can be also an element of explanation of the overrepresentation of these 4 countries. Then another relevant indicator we choose is the foreign direct investment flow. It symbolizes the capital investment of enterprises to companies abroad. So once again, the colored countries on the map, they represent African countries where there is the most investments from foreign companies. So it means influent African women are located in countries with an economic ground propitious for investments. And moreover, we also used the number of mobile phone subscriptions and the number of internet users in Africa in order to compare with other indicators. So once again, Nigeria, Egypt, and South Africa are among the best connected countries of the continent. And well, indeed, a good cellular and internet connections are 2 requirements to be connected and influent on social networks. And most of influent Twitter users are actually connected through their mobile phones and not their computers. So I don't know, Martha or Lala, how do you connect on Twitter? Is it through your mobile phone or your computer?
Definitely through my mobile phone. I hardly use Twitter on my computer, hardly.
Okay. And you, Martha?
Same for me, it's mobile phone most of the times. I once in a while use my iPad, but mainly mobile phone.
Okay, so yeah, indeed, mobile phone is really a specific tool of Twitter. Thank you. Then on this slide, we wanted to show you who were the top 10 influenced African women among our top 200. So we are going to see that all of these 10 women are from the 4 countries we were talking about: Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, and Kenya. And so we are not going to, no, sorry, just, yes, I want to apologize in advance if I don't pronounce their names perfectly right. So we are going to start with the 10th woman of our ranking, and then we'll end obviously with the first one. So Toke Makinwa from Nigeria. She's a TV and radio anchor. I don't know, maybe Lala, if you know her, if you want to present her.
Yeah, you want me to speak about her?
If you know her, otherwise I can present her as you want.
I mean, these are people we know. Toke is she's a media personality. She's a radio presenter. She's a book writer. She's a fashion entrepreneur as well. She sells, fashion products, and she's also she's an influencer as well. So she's a major force in the fashion, beauty, and media space in Nigeria.
Okay, thanks. And also, what is important to notice is that she's not only influenced on Twitter, but also on Instagram, on which she has 3.8 million followers, and also on Facebook, on which she has 22,000 followers. So she's also really active on other social networks. And then we have number 9, Sarah Abdelbaki from Egypt. She's also very active on other social networks such as Facebook or Instagram. And the strong presence on social media is common to all of these women, with only one exception. I will explain you just after. And then we have Betty Kyalo from Kenya. I don't know, Martha, if you know her or not, you can present her.
Yes, I know Betty. Betty was a media personality until recently, when she left the media to go to business. A very charming lady and a presenter whose shows had great viewing, a great influencer, and media and social media personality. And now she's into the beauty industry, where she continues to be an influencer.
Okay, thank you very much. Then we have number 7, Connie Ferguson from South Africa. She's raised in South Africa, she's born in South Africa, but raised in Botswana. And she's an iconic cinema personality in both of these 2 countries. And she's at the same time actress, producer, but also businesswoman. And also, once again, very active on other social networks. Then we have number 6, Martha Karua. Maybe you want to add something on you, or if you are present.
No, you go right ahead and present me.
Okay, okay, thank you. And then we have Rita Dominic from Nigeria. She's the first one to overpass 1 million followers on Twitter. Lala, do you know her, or I can present her if you want?
Yes, Rita is an actor. She's one of the top actors here in Nigeria, and I dare say on the continent. She's my senior colleague. She's very vocal. She's very talented. She's one of the people who started working in Nollywood when the industry started. So she's been around for a long time, and people find her very endearing. She's very open, and she talks about issues. She talks about her work, and she's a force. She's a force. So I'm not surprised that she's here.
Okay. Thank you very much. And then number 4, we have Bhutana Kamel from Egypt, and she was candidate to the presidential election in 2012. Also, she advocates for a long time to strengthen democracy in Egypt. And she's also a radio and TV anchor. And then on the podium, we have Tonto Dike from Nigeria. Do you know her, Lala, maybe?
Not quite. You can go ahead.
Okay.
Lala, that's no.
I don't know her as, so I can't speak to how she tweets the way I can speak to the others.
Okay.
Because as well, Tonto has thrived maybe on controversy, but these things are not founded on fact. So I need to be sure.
Right. No.
Okay. Afsat, I see you are connected. Hi.
I am so sorry.
That.
I've been having, I think somebody's trying to hack into my phone. I've been having problems with my phone. So all day I've been going around trying to find someone to rescue the.
Oh, okay.
So I'm so sorry, but I just wanted to join in. And first, thank you, Margot. I think Geoffrey isn't here, but you've been working closely with him. With the work you guys do is really excellent. And I think the name of your company is great. Smart Data Power, because smart data is power. And I hope we can do more with you. And I'm just so excited to see Auntie Martha and Lala, who are just a force, both forces of nature across the continent on the two sides, one in the East Africa side and also in West Africa. Auntie Martha, how are you?
Fine, thank you, and nice to see you, Hasbat.
Nice to see you. And Lala, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Also nice to see your face after a long time.
I know. So please don't let me interrupt. Just continue.
No, it's okay, no problem. And we are really pleased to see you. No problem. Okay, so yeah, we were talking about Tonto Dike from Nigeria. So she's an actress and a composer, but she's also a humanitarian aid worker. And she founded the Tonto Dike Foundation in 2002 in order to give a support to disadvantaged children and women. So she also owns several fan pages on Instagram and Facebook. Then the second woman of our top 10 ranking is the Professor Tuli Madoncella. She's South African. She's a politician woman, and she was Republic mediator between 2009 and 2016. She also participated to the elaboration of the South African Constitution promulgated by Nelson Mandela himself. And nonetheless, she's the only one of our ranking to not be present on other social media. And then the last but not least, the most influent African woman on Twitter according to our ranking is Linda Ikeji from Nigeria. Lala, maybe if you know her.
Yeah, I mean, well, Linda is great to see that she's the most influential. She's very influential in the media space. Linda, I think, was one of the first women to start blogging in Nigeria. And it's amazing that her blog grew to become a force to be reckoned with. And I mean, from blogging to being a website, to reporting news, to being a philanthropist, you know, she does a lot of things with women. She has a television station now, if I'm correct. She has a television station, so she's all about the media. And as a person, while she stays out of controversy, she does things on her own terms, and I think people find that very interesting. And also because she reports news, and you know, people always say if you're not on Linda Ikeji, you're not yet happening. So yes, so I'm not surprised that Linda is number one.
Okay, thank you very much for your precisions. Okay, so we have seen with the top 10 that almost all of these women are also really very active on other platforms, and also with several thousand or million followers on their other accounts. Also more, they are, I mean that they often wear several hats, being at the same time influencer, but also businesswoman, activist, journalist. So they are really multiple activist women, and so that's why they are also in the top 10. Thank you. Then the following slides, we wanted to focus on the 4 different countries we were talking about. So South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, and also Kenya. I don't know if there is a problem of video. Doesn't everyone can see me or not? I don't know.
Because
it's okay, sorry. So I'm going to start with South Africa. So from where 58 women of the top 200 are originally from. So we are not going to present them all. Just the idea is to see that there are different categories of activities for which we give an example each. So we can see that there are 22 journalists or anchors, also 21 businesswomen, 10 politicians, 3 opinion leaders or activists, and then 2 lawyers. And we're going to see that we'll find almost the same categories for each country. So maybe Martha, I'll let you present the focus on Kenya.
Yes, very much like South Africa, you can see quite a number of the women with a lot of Twitter followers are journalists, but they're also politicians like myself, they're activists, so very much the same trends.
Okay, thank you very much. And then the focus on Nigeria. Lala, can you present this slide?
Yes, interesting to see that it's a good mix of business women and anchors, journalists and anchors. And I think that a lot of the anchors get a lot of the attention because they are like gatekeepers on media platforms. So radio anchors, television anchors, you know, or online, people who just have online programs of their own. So, and then we can see that there are politicians, there are opinion leaders and activists, which you can find a lot of actresses under, and then of course the lawyers.
Thank you very much. And we'll end with Egypt, from where we have 21 women at the top 200. So there are journalists, once again, opinion leaders or activists, businesswomen, political scientists. But in this case, there are no Egyptian politician women, and this can be explained by the fact that we only selected profiles where there was tweets in Latin alphabet, because we are not able yet to select and to read Arabic characters and alphabets. So that's why we only selected profiles with Latin alphabet, and most of Egyptian politician women are actually tweeting in Arabic. So this can be an element of explanation for the lack of Egyptian politician women for ranking. Then, because the first conference was in French, we wanted to focus also on the French-speaking countries. So there are 16 women from the top 200 French speakers, which represents around 8% of the women of our selection. And this can be explained also by the fact that Twitter was at the beginning an American social network, and where people were conversing almost only in English. So French-speaking Twitter's users started to be influenced later than the English speakers on Twitter. Also, to compare, according to a database, there are way more Twitter users in, for example, Nigeria than in Cameroon and Ivory Coast combined. So this difference can be also an explanation for the lack of French-speaking women in the top 200. But well, we just wanted to show you who were the most represented countries, French-speaking countries of our selection. So we can see that there are 5 women from Cameroon, 3 from Ivory Coast, 2 from Congo Brazzaville, and also 2 from Tunisia. Then we are going to move on to the second part of this conference. So it will be quicker than the first one. Just we wanted to make a focus on 4 distinct profiles selected in a totally arbitrary way. It was just the idea to see different success stories among the women of our top 200. So we are going to start with a focus on a startupper, Rebecca in Hong Kong. You can see on the blue circle just right there that she's ranked 90 on 200 women. She's from Cameroon, and she has almost 107,000 followers. And she can be considered really as a serial entrepreneur, as she created several companies and enterprises, but among them all specialized in new technologies. And among them, she founded, for example, AppStack in 1999 in order to apply global solution to companies' application. Also, another example is it's a business incubator Rebecca launched in 2010 to help out every entrepreneur in developing his or her project. And then a focus on a social entrepreneur, Monica Musonda from Zambia, and she was supposed to co-present this webinar with Martha and Lala, but unfortunately she wasn't available. So I'm going to present her. She's ranked 115 on 200. She has almost 70,000 followers, and what is interesting in her profile is her career history. Indeed, she used to be a private lawyer, and before becoming a social entrepreneur. So before she became a social entrepreneur thanks to a meeting with Aliko Dangote. I'm sure many of you knows him. She's a rich philanthropist from Africa and who advocates also for a local participation and expertise through young African community. So this meeting with Aliko Dangote convinced Monica Musonda to turn to social entrepreneurship, and she founded Java Foods in 2001 in order to modify consumption habits in the south of Africa with good quality and affordable products. Then we wanted to focus on a businesswoman, Gina Dean from Kenya. Martha, if you know her, maybe you can present her.
Yeah, Gina Dean is a not a PR guru, one of the pioneer women in this area. She ran her own company, and it really was in the top league. Recently, it was bought over by the largest PR firm in the world, from the US, Weber Chandwick, I think. She's also a person who is engaged in humanitarian work. She has been the Red Cross ambassador in this country, and she still is. She's also partnered with UNFPA on issues of women's rights and women's health. So she's a very well-known business and humanitarian personality in Kenya, and a very amiable character. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Martha. And then we wanted to focus, last but not least, on a WIWA 54 winner, 2020 edition. So Hafsat, maybe you can present her, and also what is the WIWA 54 program?
So WIA is the acronym for Women in Africa, and we just say WIA. So the WIA 54 program is our signature program for the WIA Philanthropy, which is our foundation arm. And that program identifies leading women entrepreneurs across all 54 African countries, hence 54. And so in the end, we end up having more than 54 per cohort, per class, because some countries bring in more entrepreneurs. So usually, ideally, we should have one per country, but some countries bring in maybe 3 in a year. And so we end up around 57 to 60 women. This year is the first year that we will have all 54 countries represented. We've been struggling to get Eritrea, to get women entrepreneurs in Eritrea, but we finally succeeded this year. So we're very happy because in a way, we feel like we have a complete continent now, which means that we have a complete continental network across all 54 African countries. And the woman that we're focusing in on this with this webinar is Fatima Mani from Gambia. She's an agripreneur, and she's an UNCTAD certified entrepreneurship national master trainer. So she, as you well know, agriculture is the backbone of the industry, not of the economy, not just in Gambia, but in most African countries. And it creates 60% of the employment, but only contributes 5% of the value addition products to the gross domestic product. So people like Fatima are trying to make agriculture not subsistence agriculture, just something poor people do, but they're trying to make it commercial agriculture, something that can produce prosperity, can be a pathway to prosperity in Africa. And she's doing this by specializing in herbs and in adding value to herbs and adding providing skills training to farmers, aggregating women farmers, so that she can get their products to sell in the market. She has 2 full-time staff and 5 part-time staff. So in some ways, she's still a micro enterprise, but she's really trying to build her business. And right now she has, you know, the hibiscus drink. She offers a kind of peppermint and other products that she's trying to expand the market so that she can expand her business. Right now, she's only selling in Gambia, but hopefully, maybe very soon she'll be in your country. Maybe through Auntie Martha, she can be in Kenya. Through Lala, maybe Lala, you can be a distributor in Nigeria. So we're trying to, with the We Are 54 program, we offer training to women like Fatima. We make sure that they have the very best skills so that they can expand their business and seize the opportunity. The Africa Development Bank tells us that by 2030, the agricultural sector in Africa will be a $2 trillion sector. And if everything continues as it is now, most of that $2 trillion will be spent outside of Africa with us importing food that we can easily produce. So women like Fatima are at really the cutting edge of trying to grow their business to seize that market, because there is no reason why Africa should not dominate Africa's food market and Africa's agricultural sector. And it's a pathway for young people, young educated people like Fatima. And we at We are really honored to be able to support them to really reach for the stars.
Thank you very much, Afsat, and also congratulations to Fatima for her work. Thank you very much. So we are going to move on to the third and last part of our webinar, which I let Julia present, always alongside Martha and Lala. Thank you very much. I've kept my
Okay. Okay, so thank you, Margot.
So first of all, in this part,
we're going to go through the few steps in order to build up your Twitter account and also how to gain influence on that network. So the first objective when you set up your Twitter account is to optimize your profile. So when you create your profile, it's important to think about what profile picture you want to put on and one cover picture you want to put on. That's very important because simply an image is worth 1,000 words, and we are able to say a lot of things through a picture, and we can change it over time depending on the news, on the political context, or else of the moment. Also, it's very important to write a biography, presenting yourself or your interests or your job description, whatever you feel like it. So maybe on that first step, Lala or Martha, can you talk about your experience? Like, for example, do you change your pictures from time to time? Have you put a lot of thought to your biography, what you want to write? Maybe you can talk to us a little bit about that.
I think for me, I changed my profile picture only once. And now what I have is not a picture, is an image that is generated and which I use in my t-shirts during campaign. Okay. But you can easily identify me. And I've also put something there in my bio which helps you to know my areas of interest and what I stand for. Then sometime afterwards, I added that I'm now a granny. So little things like that. I don't know whether they help or don't help, but I said it's my space. So yeah. I adjust as I'm moving. And I normally announce my age every year on Twitter. I celebrate my birthday on Twitter, and I did that on 22nd of this month. And it was a fun day.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And Lala, maybe do you have anything to add to that? Or
I mean, because Twitter is not a platform that is more about words than image, I I don't change my profile picture or my wallpaper as often. I think I changed these ones, I think last year,
Okay.
if I'm correct. Changed them last year. And I don't know when I'm going to change them again. Depends. Sometimes I was like, oh, okay, I should change my Twitter profile as my followers are growing, because people visit your profiles to get a sense of who you are. So I am more conscious now that, you know, because sometimes I see my tweets and I see how far my tweets go. And this has helped me understand that, you know, my Twitter influence is growing. Also that for me, Twitter is a workspace. Social media generally is a workspace because of the work that I do. It's a platform to speak up, to connect. You know, I hardly discuss personal things on social media. So if you look at like my bio or my profile, it's all about work. It's all about, and you know, being intentional about the image of me I want to be put out, you know, how I want people to view me, what I want them to think of me. So these are the things behind like setting up my profile, for example, or my cover picture. I know my cover picture was the same for over 5 years before I changed it into this one. Yes, and like your presentation says, with tweets, using hashtags, it helps the tweets to go farther. It helps the tweets to be found quicker, putting the most important information first. I also find that using a thread for a group of thoughts helps, you know, putting all your thoughts in one thread so that, you know, it's easier to read and more people can respond to that thread. So it's easier to trace as well instead of tweeting them individually. And these are things I've also learned by being a Twitter user. So It's not like, you know, I joined Twitter today and I learned it today. So yes, those are the things I have to add.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And I'm going to go back actually to the use of hashtags and usernames. We here at Smart Data Power, we developed a tool that we offer to all of our clients. It could be for NGOs, private companies, and so on. So when we buy the data from Twitter, we can then analyze and classify the hashtag, the one that are the most popular, the one that are the most retweeted on a specific topic. And we do the same with the usernames and the emojis. So I really encourage people that are listening to us today to really look into it, to try to find the right hashtags, to look for the trendy hashtags on Twitter on certain topics, and to also do not hesitate to use emojis or emoticons inside of your biographies, but also inside of your tweets. Because it just gives a more relaxed tone and it's better for the engagement rate as well. We work a lot with this, with Emojipedia, which is a free emoji library available to all online. So you can go and check it out. That's quite useful. Also, when it comes to speaking on Twitter, it's important to that you build your profile constantly. And as you said, Lala, you were refreshing it from time to time. It's good to make it evolve as well. You do evolve in your professional or personal life. And you have to think as well, to think carefully about the wording and about which information to put first, like a journalist almost, to prioritize information that seems to be important to you. And so also another thing that is quite important when you want to make your Twitter account more optimal, it's to know your community. Once you have updated your profile, you have optimized it, you have to know your target and who are the people who follow you. That's how you manage to create a better communication. So the way we do that, again, at Smart Data Power, thanks to our tool, is to buy the tweets and retweets on a topic of the last 6 to 12 months to, for example, a health or social subject or problem in a given country in Africa. That could be a topic we could choose. And we will analyze the evolution of this subject, which tweeters talk about it, which unique tweeters retweet this kind of informations, what are their job line or business, and where are they located. And then we will work on the typology of these people. We will try to draw a parallel between the typology of the authors, of the publication, and its publication. So of course, this is our method, thanks to our tool, because we work in that field. But maybe for you, like how do you, Lala or Marta, how do you pick subjects? Do you follow the news? Do you communicate on that? Or do you talk about sometimes personal interest, or it's more like more professional matters that you speak about on your accounts?
For me, I follow the news. It will be topical issues, and sometimes it will be issues I generate myself because I think they are of national importance.
Yeah.
And sometimes it will just be a simple good morning. It's not often, but once in a while. And I've seen that people also love the light stuff after the heavy stuff. So
Yeah.
I've decided to make Twitter communication both heavy and occasionally fun.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you, Lala, do you have the chance maybe to interact with your followers, or?
Oh yes, yes. For me, usually there's conversations about my work first, then entertainment, trending topics.
Yeah.
Depending, but these are things I also need to feel, either things I enjoy. So I tweet about things I enjoy doing, films I've watched, places I've gone, programs on TV, the followership, I do that on Twitter. So things I enjoy, things I want people to enjoy, or I think people are not paying attention to, issues around feminism and womanhood and, gender-based violence. These are things I will generally speak about. And sometimes if something, sometimes you feel like something should be getting everybody's attention and it's not. And, I come on Twitter, I'm like, I think we should be, or I do a thread about it, depending. And then like Martha said, the light stuff, people really like the light stuff. People like sometimes even the personal things. So in the last 1 or 2 years, once in a while, I tweet something about maybe something I ate or somewhere I'm at or something that happened at home. And I find that the response to that, I'm always like, wow, you guys like the softer things and you don't react this much to the heavier things or the things that we want you to react to. It says a lot about people coming on social media to probably distress as well. So yeah, these are things I found in the last year or two, and I've started to incorporate them a lot more.
Okay, thank you for that.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Both of you, like when there's a controversial issue, do you engage about those? I mean, maybe something controversial taking place in Kenya or in East Africa or in Nigeria or West Africa. Do you do a thread, or do you try to first assess and see if you would like to add your voice? How do you decide?
I'm by nature controversial, so I don't avoid such stuff. I go for it, or sometimes originate that controversy, because if there's something you feel strongly about, it's a site for communicating, exchanging ideas. I'll talk about it. And we've used Twitter to even pressure for prosecution where it is deserved, to pressure the government to do something, we wanted done. And it's not just me. I found Kenyans on Twitter are an online army. There's a day we got the New York Times to apologize for something that said about Kenya.
I remember they said
yeah.
they did a job description and said they're looking for an East Africa correspondent, somebody who is willing to go into the bushes or into the jungle or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. The Kenyan people are the most amazing. So some people started doing videos showing that they were the perfect person for the job. They will jump into a bush in Kenya, not a bush, maybe a garden. They'll jump and then they'll come out of it and they'll say, I'm in the bush of Kenya, all of this. It was amazing.
They've actually gotten apologies twice. And, even within the country, things are highlighted and you get reaction from the government. So Twitter is a space you can use for many things. And we take advantage and use it for all those things.
Yeah, it is very true. Okay, so thank you a lot for all these very interesting thoughts. So after these several steps, so setting up your profile, knowing your community and your followers, it is time to speak up. It's always useful to know how to address your targets on Twitter or which tone to use. So as you already told us a little bit about that, you are quite casual in the way you talk about and to other people on Twitter. And it really depends on the purpose of your presence on Twitter as well, if it's professional or personal. When it's more a personal account, you can be a bit more relaxed in the way you write your tweets, in the way you address your followers, in the way you disclose or not some private part of your life. If it's a professional account, you can be a bit more formal, of course. And in this perspective, you can go and check out the strengths and weaknesses of your competitors' accounts, see how they communicate, so you can have an idea of what to avoid, but also what to improve. Also, when it comes to writing tweets and engaging in the Twitter arena, it's usually best to know at what times your tweet will have the best impact on the people. So usually we say the best time to tweet is at midday between 1 and 3 p.m. and at the end of the day from 5 to 6 p.m. These times are the ones when you can hope for a better engagement rate. Regarding also the topics to pick and talk about, as you already talked about, it depends on what you like, the topics related to the current events, the things you're really passionate about, as you said, Marta, about controversies, social issues that you want to raise awareness about. So yeah, that's really up to you on Twitter. And as you said, it's a very free and open platform. So it really is an amazing opportunity for everybody to talk about a lot of things. Integrating the right hashtags in the public speaking. So when it comes to trendy hashtags and emerging hashtags, that's important too. And obviously we have our tools, but for everybody, Twitter gives daily suggestions of hashtags and trending topics. So it's always a good idea to look at that and to get inspired maybe. Something else we also do at Smart Data Power for our clients, and I think for everybody, every entrepreneur or people working in certain business, it's also good to build bridges with other networks and especially LinkedIn for business opportunities. So when we are on Twitter, we address the general public and also many institutions, experts, and journalists, professionals. But if we are in a logic of promoting our products and services, we recommend crossing with LinkedIn. This allows us to gain influence because we can invite people found on Twitter who seem to be the core target and invite them on LinkedIn to join our network. Why do we do that? Because on LinkedIn, we can send messages that we call to action. That is to say, encouraging people to click on a link, to check out some information, to like a page, participate to an event or a webinar, for example. We can do more things on LinkedIn, so we must not neglect the bridges between the different social networks because they all have their specificities, and it's nice to jungle between them all. Especially since on Twitter, you can send direct messages to your followers, but many Twitters, they block this feature in their settings. So if you really want to make a business connection, it's nice to see if those people have a LinkedIn account and then invite them and engage them on that other network. Also, when it comes to different social networks, some targets are more on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. For consumer brands, for example, Facebook and Instagram, they are often used. And for all the viewers today, if you have any questions regarding the presence or absence of your audience on Twitter, do not hesitate to contact us after this conference, and we can carry out countings to tell you if there is a volume of publications on a theme or issue that you are interested in. And for you, like Lala or Marta, do you use other social networks apart from maybe Instagram or Facebook? But like, do you use LinkedIn for your professional life or things like that?
I mean, I have a LinkedIn account, but I don't use it often because I find that a lot of these things are also, you know, it gets overwhelming sometimes. Yeah. And so, like my Instagram, my Facebook, and my Twitter are linked, even though I have another Facebook page that is like the more professional page, because, you know, after a while you exceed the limit on Facebook and then all of those things. But sometimes it gets too much. It gets too much, and I'm just like, I can only deal with one. You know, there's some, like, I never downloaded Snapchat
Okay.
I never downloaded TikTok. You know, I'm just like, no, there has to be a limit to these things. And is this the end of your presentation? Because I just wanted to say something before you round up.
No, it's not the end yet. Don't worry.
Okay. For me, I'm on LinkedIn, which I have almost abandoned because I haven't been active on it for more than 2 years, but it's still there. I'm on Facebook. My Facebook account, I'm assisted by an administrator. So my social media accounts, it's Twitter that is my personal space. Okay. The rest, I am helped to manage. We've recently opened an Instagram account. It will also be managed by my team. So Twitter is my personal space. I'm willing to cede others to be managed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. And then to finish this presentation, we're going to talk a little bit more about the open data. We talked a little bit about that at the beginning, but we're going to go back to that. So as I said earlier, open data is a free public data available on the internet most of the time. Many governments and institutions are doing a lot of work to release this data. For example, geographical data. This is how here we aggregated cities with more than 1,000 inhabitants. And then we were able to make the link with the departments, the regions, the countries. The geographic data is also about the latitude, the altitude, and also the environmental data regarding a specific location. We talk a lot about health data at the moment. Lately, it's been a lot of that going on because there are more and more publications on the internet about health data. For example, you can try yourself at home to Google. You can try on Google by typing in health data and the country concerned of your choice, and you will see a lot of websites offering open data which are downloadable. This allows us to better understand what you read on social networks as well, and more generally to better understand a social phenomenon in order to interpret it in the best way. And do you have yourself, Lala or Marta or Afsat, any experiences with the open data? Have you been curious to look into it, or that's not something you ever seen? Or
not for me, it's not something I've paid attention to, but after today, I'm going to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
She's spoken for me.
So, but can you tell us what the value is?
Well, the value is to, what we do here, it's to cross-reference it with the data we download from Twitter. So then we mix it and we build bridges. For example, when you put a location on Twitter, so you have a town, and thanks to some tables, geographical tables, we were able to, when we download the data, automatically appears with the country of origins, the borough of a city, the land, something like that. We also did it for African names, for example, to try to, when we took all that data from Africa, we're able to set up profiles to recognize the different African names inside of the nicknames and usernames of Twitter. So that really helped us a lot to actually build up this 200 influential women. That was really critical for us to have those birth tables that we found on the internet in an institutional website. So that can really add value and almost like make the data speak a little bit more than it would if it was only, downloaded, only rough, it's almost like a diamond in the rough, and we try to work it a little bit.
When you just have the data, it doesn't really make any sense. It's just a lot of information.
That's it.
When you cross-reference, you start to be able to see a picture. So
exactly.
Instead of seeing green, you can start to see clusters of trees and make a map of where things are.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
this kind of project, you could even identify, like you've done, you can identify the most dynamic places for Twitter and social media in Africa, and the emerging most dynamic places, the places where activity is ramping up.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly that. So for us, open data is very critical. And because it's something that everybody can go check it out, it's always interesting to inform people about that, because on a personal aspect, you can, you know, for your general knowledge, it's always good as well to go and be curious about all those things.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
so yeah. So if you maybe you have something else to add overall, like we are arriving at the end of this webinar. So if you have any,
I know Lala said she had something she wanted to say, and then I want to quickly just say a few words about
yeah,
I don't know if
go
because
ahead.
Geoffrey and I don't think was here earlier. So Lala, you wanted to say
Yes,
something?
yes, yes. I also wanted to say that because I really have to go.
Yeah.
Yes. In terms of, you know, the controversy or how to decide what to discuss, I find that in my case, sometimes there's a controversial issue. I want to tweet about it, but I have to hold myself back
Yeah.
because I sort of read the room. And I remember Martha saying earlier that, you know, Twitter is also a place where there are lots of horrible people who want to bully you, who create shadow accounts just to troll you. And then it also shows up, you know, the way, and it worries me when you see the way some people go about some issues and you're like, are there really people who think like this? Is this what you took out of everything that I tweeted? So sometimes there are times where I just go, you know, and that day after I have tweeted what I want to tweet, I stay off Twitter for 24 hours because I don't want to see anything that will trigger me or upset. You know, it takes a lot, at least for me, not to respond to trolls, not to respond to bullies, or to just block them. And sometimes I don't even want to block them because I want them to keep seeing this stuff. Because it's actually for people like them that I'm tweeting such information. So sometimes I don't want to block them. So I tweet what I have to tweet sometimes and I just leave it. And sometimes some tweets that are so innocent go farther than you ever think. And then you find that your tweet has gone on this blog or on that blog, which is good, which for me says, okay, some people are listening and some people are, you know, are seeing these things. But it's not every time I jump on something controversial. I sometimes have to weigh in. But if it is feminism taking advantage of a woman, gender-based violence, you know, bad governance, you know, I'm going to jump right in. And sometimes with bad governance, I get tired and I'm just like, you know what, not today. I want to focus on the happy stuff.
Yeah, that's very true. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Martha. Is there something you wanted to say?
I think just to stay, I've noticed lately that whenever there are bullies online, that I have to less and less deal with them because an online army is emerging that deals with the bullies on its own.
Wow.
So, which means that as we go on with Twitter, people are rejecting certain behavior online. And this is a sort of a self-regulation that is emerging.
Yeah.
I kind of love the sound of that. It sounds like a kind of organic democratic system that has all the elements, including accountability, you know, and ensuring that governing people's behavior, which will be very important. Lala, I don't know if you've already gone, but
I'm still here.
Okay, so I wanted to tell you a little bit about WIA because I was supposed to do that at the very beginning.
Right.
So WIA is for women like you, Lala, like Auntie Martha. It's for the leading women on the continent of Africa. Because we believe that the 22nd century is Africa's century, and that it's the women of Africa that will open that way for the continent. We think that the story of Africa's efforts to emerge is a 4th-century story that has been going on for quite a long while. And women have played a role, but have often been pushed aside in the efforts to build for Africa and to ensure for the continent. But now the continent is coming to a point where it's coming together. The African Union is the strongest it's ever been, and we have all kinds of supporting institutions. But we just want to make sure that in all of that, the energy of the African woman is central and focal. And we want to make sure that the energy of the African women entrepreneur who is building a business, who is running a farm, who is running a school, is also central, because these are the builders of economies. And if Africa has one biggest weakness, it's the economies of the continent. The economies of Africa has been so good at powering the rest of the world. We think it's the African woman that will help the economies of Africa power the continent itself and the people of the continent. So, Auntie Martha, I'm looking at you. Lala, I can't see you, but I'm still looking at you, darling. And thinking that what we need to do, and I'm hoping that with Margot, with Julia, Geoffrey, who is on our team in Paris, and we have a team with Caroline Aude, who founded we can come together and create a way that we identify people like Auntie Martha in every of the countries of Africa, and we make you a different kind of We Are 54, not like start-uppers, but women who are leaders, who are reforming Kenya, who are reforming Ethiopia, who are reforming Djibouti, Egypt. All of these women, we bring you together so that you're not on your own, that we bring women film producers across all of Africa together with Lala, and we make you into a community, because we think, you know, at WIA we say, when women want to go fast, go alone. But when you want to go far, you go together. So we want you to have your sisters everywhere in Africa, so that when you're walking in Nigeria, when you're walking in Kenya, you may be the only person walking at that time, but you know that you have an army of people walking beside you. You may not see them, but you know them and they're real. It's not something you feel, it's something you know, because you'd be in a platform that connects you to them and that allows them to engage and support you and amplify your voice and amplify your power. So that's what We Are is about. And we hope that from this first introduction, we can pull you into our community to be part of it, because I know that this story we want to tell for the 22nd century, we cannot tell without the kind of energy that you bring. So thank you for the incredible work that you do, the integrity you've shown, the discipline, the fortitude, the resilience. Thank you for everything. And thank you for our French friends, Margot and Julia, and my darling brother, Geoffrey, who you can't see, but who has been working closely with Margot and Julia to help identify the 200 top women on Twitter. Congratulations for being in that group. You guys are incredible and you inspire me. And I am going to be doing the hashtags. I'm going to be checking what's trending. I'm going to be trying to analyze my community. You're going to see me taking my Twitter game to another level now.
Another level, no problem. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Lala. Have a great day.
Thank you.
We'll
connect.
Yes,
we'll thank you.
And thank you, Hafsat, for these inspiring words. That was amazing.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Big hugs, you too. Big hugs, Geoffrey, and bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for your participation. Have a great end of the day.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, also. Okay, thank you very much for everyone. I'd just like to complete this conclusion with an additional information. Indeed, the subject of the study was about people currently living in Africa, but we are at the moment realizing a study about Ivory Coast diaspora all over the world. And so with other techniques, of course, but it's just another example of the kind of study we can do with Twitter. So there is a lot of perspective to study. And just the replay of this webinar and the study will be available online soon. And I'd just like to conclude by saying thank you for all the persons who attended this conference. Also, thank you to all the panelists, Hafsat also, Eloïde, Marsa, Lara, and Julia, of course. And I'd also like to thank all the people who participated to this study. So thank you very much for all the people in Women in Africa, but also at Smart Data Power. And well, I wish you all a great weekend. Bye. Thank you very much. Ok. Je crois que c'est la fin.
C'est bon, vous avez bien déconnecté
Il me semble, oui, c'est bon. J'ai fait arrêter. Là.
Merci beaucoup, c'était top. Hein. Bravo.
Ouais, c'était vraiment chouette.
Bravo, c'était vraiment top.
Les intervenantes étaient super aussi.
Ouais, c'est vrai. Merci beaucoup, au revoir.
Ouais, merci beaucoup. On se
Au
retrouve.
revoir.
Au revoir.
Oui.
Yes.